Hey everybody, it's the holiday time and all the buildings and houses are decorated with the beautiful Christmas decorations and Christmas lights. And in the daytime, the decorations look amazing, but at nighttime when they turn the lights on, well, that's when it just all comes together and it just looks so beautiful. And some people get so creative with the way they decorate with the lights that, well, that's when we want to take photos. So last night I was out doing Christmas light photography, I guess you would call it, and I had my big DSLR mounted on a tripod, and in the two locations that I was at, there were other people out there taking photos, but I was the only person that I seen that had a regular camera. Everybody else was taking their photos with, the mobile phone. And, that's okay. Mobile phones take pretty decent photos today, but you kind of got to know how to do it. And a couple of the ladies that had got out of the car, most people were doing it from right in their car, just pulling over and taking the photos. But a couple of ladies got out of the car and they came over and stood where I was standing because it was a good angle and a good location. And I'm watching them take the photos, and the preview comes up on the screen and it's just like really horrible, really. And they had nice phones. And it was really horrible, and they're posting it to social media, and the one lady's kind of complaining that why doesn't the phone, as much as she paid for it, why doesn't it take a better photo? And they're looking at my photos. So anyway, I just thought I would do a real quick tutorial, and I'm just going to take you out and show you how I do it. Instead of explaining it all here, I'm just going we're just going to go out, and it's going to be cold out there, but I'm going to go out and do it, and I'm going to do it with my phone and show you how I do it with my phone. But now there are a couple pieces of equipment that you need aside from the phone. So first off, with your phone, you need to have a camera in your phone that will go into manual. And most of them do now. If you got a decent smartphone, you can put it into manual. Okay, so you want to be able to do that. And if you can't, you might be able to download a free app, camera app, that will let you put it into manual. Okay, so you want to be able to go into manual. The second thing is you're going to need a tripod of some sort. It doesn't have to be this exact tripod. This is the one that I have for my phone. This is a little Joby, and it's got the legs that bend and twist and everything like that. So with the Joby tripod, it also has a holder that it stretches to fit your phone. And the holder, well, let's put it on. I'm just going to show you real quick before we head out the door here. So, you put like that, it goes in there, and then we just slide this on there like that till it clicks. And this one has a little lock so that I don't accidentally push it and it falls out. And, you can, I'm going to show you how to take photos from right inside the car. Like all you got to do is put your window halfway down, and as long as your window is facing the way that you want to take the photo, you can slide this guy right down over top of your window. But you can also do it by putting it on the hood of your car. If you're doing this, and I say the car because most people take these photos from like the roadside. But if you're not doing it from a car and you're like walking around along the streets, you can always find a place. I mean, if you have this guy, this guy is amazing because you can attach this thing to light poles, to fences, garbage cans, just about anything that you can think of. So anyway, we're going to need that. I'm also going to bring a power bank with me because I want to keep my phone nice and charged up. And I think a lot of people have power banks today. You don't have to have this. This is just strictly optional. But I have my little, and this is also a Joby actually too. These things are great. It's a very small power bank. And then this is another optional one, but it's strongly recommended. And this is a little Bluetooth shutter release. And this is a Joby. And I know I'm saying a lot of Joby stuff. I'm not getting paid to say this, but this just is kind of a brand that I use that all works together. So this is a little Joby Bluetooth shutter release. When I push this, it fires the camera in the phone. And this way I don't have to touch the phone and move the phone around, because the one key thing that we want to do is keep the phone stable. And if we can make a way that we can take the photo without touching the phone, that's where the magic really happens. So, and I'm going to tell you all the settings that you need to set up. So, you know what? Without me explaining it any further, let's. I'm going to go get bundled up, and we're going to head out into the cold, and come back here, and we'll look at the photos that we got after we go out and get them. Maybe if it's long enough of a video, that'll be part 2. But we'll come back and I'll show you like how to edit them if you want to see that too. So let me go get bundled up so I don't freeze to death. Okay, so let's talk real quick about manual camera settings before we go out into the cold to capture our Christmas light photos. So if you don't know how to get into the manual settings of your mobile phone, just take the model number of your phone, Google it, manual camera settings, and you should be able to come up with some information on how to get in and adjust those settings. So for me, I have an Android phone, and I'm just going to go to Pro. And I'm concerned with these 3 adjustments. I'm concerned with ISO, my shutter speed, and my focusing. Okay, now we also have white balance, and I have that set to auto right now. Just a real quick thing about white balance: the higher the number, the warmer it makes the photo. The lower the number, the cooler it makes the photo. A lot of cameras, even phone cameras, do a very good job of handling white balance in auto mode. Although when I get out and I look at the scene, if I find everything is like really, really blue or really, really like yellow or amberish, then I might go in and adjust my white balance. But for right now, let's look at ISO. Okay, so with ISO, these numbers represent how sensitive the camera is to light. Okay, so the higher the number, it's very sensitive to the light. You can see it's very bright there. And the lower the number, it's less sensitive. So in very bright light, we would use the lower number. But here we're doing something creative. So, it kind of tells you, your mind tells you maybe I should be right about there. But what happens is with these little sensors in these mobile phones, once we start to get into this higher ISO range, we start to see noise especially in the dark areas. We always say noise lives in the shadows. So anything that's dark will start to incorporate noise. So this is a creative shot that we're doing with our Christmas lights. So we're just going to get very creative, and we're going to shoot as clean as possible. But then that makes the scene darker. Okay, so what we do is we change the shutter speed. Now, if you notice, if I increase the shutter speed faster, go up to 1/1600th or 1/1250th, 1/800th in this case, it's too fast. It doesn't let enough light in. So we want to slow it down. And in my case, I'm going to take it down as slow as I can possibly go, which is 2 seconds. Okay, so that is going to let enough light in to capture the Christmas lights. Now, let's just move this ISO up a little bit so I can see this camcorder. I'm also concerned about my focusing. Now, the camcorder is about 4 inches in front of my camera right now, so I'm kind of setting my focus here in the middle. But when I get out to do my Christmas lights, I know that they're going to be further away, and I'm probably just going to set this up to infinity. So it's probably going to be set right there. And I'm going to have that set down around 100. And then with the brightness of the lights, the scene will look pretty good. We'll see when we get out there. But now here's the thing. At a 2-second opening of the shutter, that means any movement of the camera, any whatsoever, will blur the photo. So the photo will be blurry. And if you're in auto mode, that's exactly what happens. When you're in auto mode, what usually happens is the camera will usually choose an ISO right about there, and it will kind of choose a shutter speed right around there. And even at 1/13th, that's too slow of a shutter to capture nice crisp image, unless the camera was perfectly still. So that's why we want to be on a tripod, and that's why we want to try to use a Bluetooth shutter release to capture our images. We even want to do things like turning the motor of the car off. Turn the engine off, so that there's no vibration in the car if you're shooting from within your car like I'll be doing. So okay, let's head out there. And just as a real quick note, it's always good to go over your camera settings, and especially if you're not familiar with them, go over and do all this stuff in the comfort of your own home or someplace where it's warm before you head out into the cold. It's just going to be too frustrating to do it out there. Okay, let's go. Okay, so we're taking a photo of that house over there, and I have my camera mounted right here on my window. See if I can, it's dark out, but see if I can get my, so I'm right on my window just like that. Nice and simple. Okay, so I have my shutter release right here. I'm pushing it. It's processing. You want to make sure you stay perfectly still, and that's why it's imperative that you mount it on a tripod. Okay, and it's as simple as that. Okay, so here we are, we're in our manual settings, and first we're going to adjust our ISO. And the lower the number, the cleaner it gives us, but also a bit darker. And the higher we go, the more noise we're going to get. So I'm going to keep it right around 200. And this is my shutter. I have it set at 2 seconds. So that's why we need to keep everything perfectly still, because the shutter will be open for 2 seconds. And then over here is my focus. And essentially I want to focus nice and crisp. Let me do that again. Right there. And now that I have that, I'm going to hit my shutter. And there we go.